when I was in college. And we know there's a market for those people out there. So, we introduced a line of guitars a few years ago called the True Vintage line. And for this year, they're called just the Vintage line. This is a throwback piece, and you've got to play one of these. There's two of them in there and this one. They're basically, like I said, they're not year specific, but they're a throwback to the time. Visually, you've got the script and banner, you've got the tuners, the old style tuners. You've got the VOS rubbed finish, so it's not shiny and new looking. No electronics. It comes in a really cool period correct case. The whole package is really cool, but the best thing about this is isn't that just wonderful? Now, one of the things that we did this year, other manufacturers for a while have been utilizing a technology called torification. Does anyone know what that is? Torified tops. A few people out there. One thing that's always been a mystery is why do the old guitars sound the way they do? What changed? What makes them different? And technology over the past decade has allowed them to study the old pieces of wood to a cellular level and see what is different between an old piece of wood and a new piece of wood. Okay, so now they've identified the visual differences and at a cellular level, what is different about it. How can we get there quicker? They came up with a process called torification that expedites that. It takes the wood, and different companies do it different ways. We are utilizing the University of Minnesota in Duluth, who's been doing wood research for decades up there in the North Woods of Minnesota. And they've been doing some work on this. And we basically hired them to do our research, and they are now actually torifying the tops on our vintage guitars. It's put in a kiln per se, but it has to be a kiln in a vacuum because it heats the wood to like well over 200 degrees, and if there's any oxygen, it'll just burst into flame. So it has to be in a vacuum. It draws all the moisture out, just makes it light, makes it just stiffer, and the sound is just... It sounds like an old guitar. And before you leave, you got to pick this up. It is just featherweight. It's amazing what it does. So we are utilizing the thermally aging technology in our vintage line, and we're doing 4 guitars that have this in it now. We do the 45 standard, and we do the 45 vintage. The same with the Hummingbird. We do a standard version and a vintage version, an L00 and an L1, 2 small body guitars. So if you have the opportunity, again, we're not the first people to do this. Martin, Taylor, Yamaha, Bourgeois, they've been doing it. We're kind of the last people to the party, but we kind of wanted to, in some ways, I guess, learn from their mistakes, learn from their research, and just take it to the next level. And we think our guitars, it really fits in well, just because of the historic nature of our guitars. And then you add this dynamic to it, makes it sound like an old Gibson, and it's a really wonderful thing. So I hope you take the opportunity to try it.